I get asked this all the time. It's one of the most frequently asked questions and problems that GAMSAT students face, especially given that you only have about 2 to 5 minutes to come up with a good idea and a solid plan for your whole essay before you write 800 words in 25 minutes that could define the next steps of your life. That's crazy, but that's what they're trying to do, push us. They have to separate you from all of the other people in the room, from all of the other people in the country. We don't know how many people exactly sit the GAMSAT every year, but it's estimated now to be about 15,000. Of course, that's including Australia, UK, and all of Ireland, but that's still heaps, especially when you compare it to the amount of people that actually get into medicine each year, which is about 3,000 to 4,000 in Australia. Now, you may know these statistics already, and I'm not trying to scare you off, I promise, but this is just something we do need to be aware of. Medicine is becoming more and more competitive, and that means if you want to get into medicine, you have to get a competitive score in the GAMSAT. Of course, this will depend on which school you want to go to, but still. So that's why I'm here to help you. I promise that every one of my videos is going to get you a little bit closer to getting that high score that you need in section 2 of the GAMSAT. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to help you get in because you deserve your best shot at this. Everybody does. So let's get stuck in.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. A hard time if your motion is still. Then he moves the things around because the lyrics is in.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kate Robson. I make videos on this channel about all things to do with GAMSAT, life, psychology, philosophy, exercise, that sort of stuff. So if you do enjoy this content, please hit that like and subscribe button because it really helps me grow. Now, before we do get into the video, I have a couple announcements I want to make that are GAMSAT related. As some of you know already, I've just started tutoring and marking essays for people. I've still got a bit of space to take on a couple more students, so if that's something that you'd be interested in, please feel free to contact me or go onto the GAMSAT page on my website and you can find all the details there. The huge announcement that I have today though is that the pre-sale for my course is launching today. By now it should have officially launched, so I'm gonna pop the link in bio and you can go directly to there and get a 30% off discount to the whole entire course. It's called Essays Made Easy, and it's basically an all-in-one step-by-step guide that has everything you need to know to score highly in the GAMSAT. In there is going to be basically everything that I did to score 80, which put me in the top 0.7% of section 2 in the March 2021 sitting. I wanted to put all of that information that I learned into one place to help you guys also be able to do that. There's kind of a lack of like really straightforward, direct, practical advice out there to teach you exactly what you need to do to score highly in section 2. Like when I was preparing, I had to look here, there, and everywhere and spend heaps of money. So I want to create something that has all of that stuff in one place to save you time and money. The course will cover everything from responding to prompts, coming up with ideas, developing a thesis, how to structure your essays, what each paragraph should look like and is there to serve to do, how to write plans and how to time your essays, how to find and collect good examples, how to write quickly using good ideas, and how to basically sound smart in your essays without sounding too convoluted. There'll also be extra tips for ESL speakers sitting the GAMSAT. There'll be extra tips for your exam day and how to deal with emotions and anxiety of the GAMSAT, and so much more. The course will mostly be made up of videos, but there's going to be worksheets, plan templates, structure templates, exemplar essays, and lots of extra tips to help you kind of put your learning into practice. Also, I just keep coming up with exciting announcements. The next exciting announcement is that there is going to be a very special guest joining us in the course. In one of the modules, you'll find a very special guest appearance from someone who is kind of leading the way with section 2 tutoring and advice and teaching, who's helping students perform exceptionally and who was one of the driving forces behind my scoring so highly. We are so lucky to have this person on board and I'm very excited to announce who it is, but I'm gonna leave it as a little bit of a mystery so far for you guys to guess in the comments who you think this might be. Then in a couple weeks, I'm gonna announce it, and I hope you guys will be as excited about it as I am. Essentially, the course is just gonna be a go-to place for everything that you need to know and to do to score highly in Section 2 of the GAMSAT, so that you can hopefully score 80 or above as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, please find the link in bio and sign up today for a nice 30% discount, a little early bird pre-sale. The course will be launching later in the year or at the beginning of January, with about 2 months before the March sitting. So there should be plenty of time to go through that for you to prepare and get your head around it. Okay, so let's get on to the video. So how do we actually come up with ideas for our essays? Ones that are good, ones that are thoughtful, and ones that create a good message or meaning behind an essay. Something that allows the marker to realize how intelligent and thoughtful you are and considerate and empathetic you are. And basically, an idea is the root of the package that you're bringing to the table in your GAMSAT essays, and eventually as you want to be a doctor. Ideas can really be seen as the most important part of coming up with your essays, because from a good idea develops a good essay, and a good essay will give you a good score in the GAMSAT. So how do we actually do it? How did I do it? Let's get right into it. The first step in coming up with a good idea for an essay, either task A or B, starts way before you get into the exam room. It starts during your preparation on day one. Good ideas don't really come out of nowhere unless you have a great bank of ideas already in your mind and you have lots of life experience and you've read really widely and you can just pull out ideas from your brain. Maybe you are like that. But if you struggle with ideas, a really good thing to do during your preparation to help you come up with good ideas is to prepare an ideas bank. An ideas bank is essentially a place that you can go and put all of your ideas in relation to common topics that are found in Task A and Task B essays, and developing examples and hashing out those ideas so that you can kind of like extract them if that topic comes up on exam day, and then you've already got your prepared idea, prepared example, and kind of like a prepared response that maybe just needs to be altered a little bit depending on what the prompts are saying. One way that you can do this that I did, and I think it's really effective to kind of like collect all of your ideas, is to use a table. An example of a table that you can use is like this one, where you'll put, whether it's task A or task B, you'll put the topic that's like kind of the theme but not really, then you'll put like the niche that I like to call it, like what the prompts are actually trying to hint at. Then the idea that you develop out of that. So for example here I've got with like freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a human right, but it has its limitations. It can be used to incite violence and has negative repercussions and stuff. Then next to it, I put in examples that kind of relate to that idea. So here I put Martin Luther King, I put 2021 lockdown protests, I put Donald Trump, but you could also put something from psychology or philosophy or a bit further back in history, just to kind of give your examples a range and a depth that you can use. So it's not all just like from contemporary society or from one period of history or anything, but from different periods of time and different places around the world. Then in the next column, you can kind of like hash those examples out and really get down to the bottom of what they mean, what actually happened, the people that were involved, and how that influenced society moving forward and how it still does today. You can do this for task B as well. Sometimes themes will apply for both of them, but you can kind of like do them however you want to really. So if it comes up with like love, that might play better into a task B essay, so you can put some task B examples there, like anecdotes from your own life or whatever works for you. If you want to find more about task A or task B structures, then I've got a couple videos already. I'll link them up here and you can jump right to them. In those, I basically explain like exactly what my structure was for my GAMSAT essays that helped me get 80. I used an argumentative for task A and a reflective for task B. Then ultimately the idea of the ideas bank is that you kind of develop throughout this preparation and work on it over a few months. And so by the time your exam date comes, you've already got this whole bank of ideas and examples stacked up according to the common topics, the topics that might pop up in your task A and task B essays. Of course, there might be a set of prompts that you get that actually isn't related to anything that you've prepared, and you just have to be ready for that. So keep an open mind, try and prepare for as much as you can, but also know that you might not be able to cover everything, and that's okay. But the ideas bank should help you kind of like focus your attention and develop examples that are a bit more directed rather than just like reading random stuff online in magazines or whatever, but so that you come up with more focused things according to topics that you actually might get. So I did cover this in one of my previous videos, I'll link that one here, and I go into depth about how to specifically respond to prompts, but essentially the quality of your ideas in GAMSAT essays is going to completely be based on the quality of your response and interpretation to the prompts. If you do not interpret the prompts in a highly thoughtful, reflective, quality way, then it's going to be very difficult for you to come up with a highly thoughtful, considerate response or ideas to those prompts. And like I said, I go much further into this in that video where I actually respond to prompts, and I explain like the reason that prompts are there and how to actually get good ideas out of them. But essentially, in short, you want to find like the true message behind the prompts. What are they really asking you? Because they're not just going to be about freedom, they're going to be about something a little bit deeper and a little bit nuanced than that. So when you do dig a little deeper and try and find that message, you kind of allow yourself to open up the prompts for inspiration to develop a little bit more of a nuanced, thoughtful idea. Watch my video about responding to prompts on exactly how to do that. But once you do respond to prompts in this way, you should be able to think a little bit more deeply and come up with a better idea. So remember that the quality of your idea is always going to come from the quality of your interpretation to the prompts. Now, this is kind of the hardest bit. How do we actually come up with good ideas in such short periods of time? Like I said before, there's only about 2 to 5 minutes to be able to come up with a really good idea before you have to spend that 25 minutes writing the actual essay. So how do we practice taking 2 to 5 minutes to come up with a really good idea and then make a quick plan and a quick thesis out of that? Well, I think that if you've kind of done the previous work, if you've developed your ideas bank, and if you've learned to respond to the prompts in a really thoughtful way, then by the time your exam day comes and you do both of these things, you've got all of your ideas and your examples there, and you interpret the prompts really thoroughly, then the ideas should kind of just flow from that. If it doesn't flow, at least it should just be a little bit easier to do that. Responding to prompts is always going to be hard, and of course there are situations that might pop up where you get a prompt that you actually have no idea about. I remember in my practice I came across one that was to do with law, and being a medical science student with communications background, I know nothing about law. So that's when I should have realized that I needed to put that sort of thing in my ideas bank, so that if it did come up in the exam, I've already learned to respond to it and developed some examples against it. On the off chance that you do get a set of prompts that you actually have no idea about, this is kind of when you need to make sure that throughout your preparation you pick examples that you can apply to really anything, that you can apply really broadly. Because then if you don't know how to kind of like develop a really nuanced, thoughtful response to it, at least you kind of have some stuff that you've learned along the way, stuff that you can kind of apply that might make for a good essay. So when you're picking your examples for your ideas bank, look for commonalities between themes. For example, if you pick World War II as an example, understand and realize and research that it's not just about the Nazis. Sure, it's about communism and socialism, but it's also about eugenics, it's about psychology, it's about dehumanization, discrimination, dictators, and politics. The Nazis also had an influence on the German economy and German infrastructure, and still kind of influence Germany's culture today of like being apologetic and having to atone for their past. Like there's so much in there. So when you really dive deep into your examples, hopefully you can find something there that you can kind of extract and apply it to multiple situations or multiple themes. Also, be open to making up things on the spot, just from your own memory or from your own life experiences or from pop culture or like something that you just read one day. I actually did this for my Task B essay and it went really well. I think it is one of the reasons that I scored quite highly, because I took an example from life, from pop culture that I just knew, and I used it in my essay and it really applied well to the theme. I hadn't ever practiced it before, so I just made it up on the spot and it worked. What I did was that the prompts were about like standing out of the crowd, and I was kind of talking about how we need to accept like everybody for their differences and appreciate the beauty in diversity and people looking different and people coming from different places. And then I used body positivity and Lizzo as an example. Like I fully used Lizzo as an example in my GAMSAT essay. Thank you, Lizzo. And it actually worked really well. So don't be afraid if you have an idea that kind of does just apply to the theme. Don't feel like you have to use like World War II or like something from history that like everybody talks about. You can use stuff that you just know about the world. Another example of this is that one of the students that I tutor recently was talking about Hamilton, and I suggested that she write an essay about Hamilton because that can be a lot more interesting than another essay about World War II. If you know about the political undertones in Hamilton and how it portrays the founding fathers incorrectly or correctly, then go ahead and write about that if it comes up, because that's going to be actually quite interesting to the marker to maybe see a different side, to read a different example, and to apply these common big ideas that they come across to new examples and fun examples. But ultimately, developing ideas quickly is just going to come down to practice. Put in the work early, practice, develop your ideas bank, and hopefully by the time that your exam day comes, you're kind of a little more used to it and you find it easier to extract stuff from your own memory and from your own learning, and then you can use that in your essay. So in order to practice this, one thing that I would encourage you to do as a little exercise is to kind of do like a rapid fire of coming up with ideas. So just grab any prompt generator online and just refresh that page and hit generate and try and give yourself like, start with maybe 5 minutes and then go to 3 and then go to 2 and come up with number 1, an idea, and then number 2, an example that goes with it. If you want, you can even extend that to creating a thesis as well, but just like whip these ones out and do as many as you possibly can, because it'll help your brain kind of get into the practice of having to come up with ideas really quickly and kind of settling for the initial one or the best one that you can find really quickly, because that's what you're actually going to have to do in an exam. So simulate those conditions. As well, start your ideas bank now. If you're planning on sitting in March, we still have like 5 months left. So start early. The earlier you start, the better, because it means the more examples and the more ideas that you'll be able to come up with. Contribute to it every week, enjoy the process, see what you can find and see what you can learn about the world and expand your knowledge on about the world. Also, I'll just do a little plug here. You can also sign up to my email newsletter where I write weekly snippets about stuff that happened in my week and my recommendations and stuff for the week. But also I've recently added like a column, a nice little vertical where I suggest a research recommendation for the week. So this is something that I think that you in your preparation should look a little bit further into, do your own research in, so that you can apply it to your essays, stuff that I kind of think would make for good examples or make for good discussion. I recommend some articles or some books and places to go and stuff to look at to help you dive a little deeper into those. You can sign up on my website, I'll link that down below as well. And yeah, it should be fun. Also, finally, make sure you do directed reading. So don't just, open the conversation every week and read an article and be like, oh yeah, cool, I learned something. A more high yield method is to read stuff that's directly related to a theme that maybe you're studying that week for your ideas bank. So go out and read articles that you can actually apply and put in your ideas bank that you can definitely use, rather than just reading randomly, read directedly. Then once you do all this, you should be pretty set to go for your exam. And I hope that that sort of thing helps you. I hope that you take something from this and it helps you with your preparation or helps you get a little bit closer to that mark that you need. Of course, if you want more help, please feel free to reach out to me for a little bit of tutoring or essay marking. And of course, you can always sign up to my course that launched for pre-sale today. I'm so excited. I just need to do a little excited dance. It should be good. I hope this helped. Good luck with your preparation, and if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. Other than that, hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you for the next video.
So girls, move it around. If you see your main dog, get the brother a